Namaste friends, welcome back to my channel. Friends, in my previous video, I had shown you how to bezel the 10 mm pearls, 14 mm Rivoli crystal and join them to make the coronet pendant. And we joined the components and made the first layer of our embellishment. And after completing the first layer of our embellishment, we were here exiting through this 11O fuchsia. So we did this in my previous video, and now as we are exiting through this 11O fuchsia, now we are going to pick up to 11O champagne. So you can see here I'm exiting through this 11O fuchsia, the first one, the first raw component on this pearl bezel, the first pearl bezel just next to the Rivoli bezel, and I have picked up to 11O champagne and I'm passing through this next 11O fuchsia. Again, I'm picking up to 11O champagne and passing through the next 11O fuchsia, picking up to 11O champagne into the next 11O fuchsia. Again, picking up to 11O champagne into the next 11O fuchsia, 11O champagne into the next 11O fuchsia, picking up to 11O champagne into the next 11O fuchsia, again picking up to 11O champagne and into the next 11O fuchsia. And now here I have reached the last one on this pearl bezel, and now here after reaching this last one I have picked up to 15O champagne. Now for this last one, in between the bezel pearls, I have picked up to 15O champagne and into this next 11O fuchsia, like this, moving up into the next 11O fuchsia on the next pearl, on the next pearl bezel, like this, and now picking up to 15O champagne and into the next 11O fuchsia. So here on the joint, we have on the joint of the two pearls bezel, we have to add 15O champagne, and then we are going to add 11O champagne as we added here. So I'm picking up to 11O champagne into this next 11O fuchsia, again to 11O champagne into the next 11O fuchsia, again to 11O champagne, now the last pair of 11O champagne for this pearl bezel. Now this is the last one for this pearl bezel. Now here I'm going to add, you can see the joint here. So now here I'm going to add 215O champagne into this 11O fuchsia, into the 11O fuchsia on the next pearl bezel, like this, and now again 215O champagne, like this, and now I'm going to add the pairs of 11O champagne. So this way I'm going to add 11O champagne till I reach this one here. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 11O champagne, 5 pairs of 11O champagne, and come back. Now after adding this last pair of 11O champagne, right now I'm exiting through this 11O fuchsia, and this is the joint of the pearl bezel and the Rivoli bezel. So here I'm going to add 115O champagne and into this 11 of fuchsia. And now on the Rivoli bezel we have to add 15 of. So I'm picking up 215 of champagne, again picking up 215 of champagne, picking up 215 of champagne, so pair of 15 of champagne, so here again pair of 15 of champagne. So around the Rivoli bezel we have to add pairs of 15 of champagne, and now I'm adding the last pair of 15 of champagne, and now you can see this is the joint of this Rivoli bezel and the pearl bezel. So I'm picking up 115 of champagne and up through this 11 of fuchsia, like this. So after completing this round, you can see the look from the back and from the front. And here, stepping up into the 211 of champagne, and now we are going to add 11 O's to these pairs of 11 O's and 15 O's that we have added. So I have picked up one 11 O champagne, moving back into the pair of 11 O champagne like this, into the 11 O fuchsia, into this pair of 11 O champagne, picking up one 11 O champagne, into the pair of 11 of fuchsia, sorry 11 of champagne, and into the next 11 of fuchsia, into this next pair of 11 of champagne, picking up one 11 of champagne, into the 11 of champagne, 11 of fuchsia, and into the next pair of 11 of champagne. So this way I'm going to add these 11 of champagne till I reach this last pair over here. Now here I'm adding this 11 of champagne to the last pair of 11 of champagne, and here I have almost finished up with my thread. So I'm going to show you how you can end up the thread and add a new one. Right now I'm exiting through this 11 of champagne, so I'm moving down into this 11 of fuchsia. Now here I'm moving down through this 11 of champagne, down through the 11 of fuchsia at the bottom, very carefully we have to pass through this 11 of fuchsia, like this, and into the 11 of fuchsia at the back. Now here, after exiting through this 11 of fuchsia, down through this 15 of champagne, and into this 15 of champagne, and here I'm going to tie a knot. One more knot at the back, and pass through the next 15 of champagne through a couple of 15 of champagne and into these two 15 of champagne. So here I have just finished up the thread. I'm going to cut it off and add a new one. Now here I have taken a new thread and I'm going to add it to my pendant here. So I'm passing through this 15 of champagne, these two 15 of champagne into the next 15 of champagne, and here I'm tying a knot. One more knot. Like this, up through the 15 of champagne, the 11 of, up through this 11 of at the bottom, into the 11 of fuchsia, and now into these 11 of champagne and 11 of fuchsia. And we can cut this tail off. Into the 11 of fuchsia, 11 of champagne, again into the 11 of fuchsia, and the next two 11 of champagne, into the 11 of fuchsia, and now into these two 15 of champagne. Here again we are going to add 11 of champagne. So I'm picking up one 11 of champagne like this, into the 11 of fuchsia, up through this 11 of fuchsia, and into the next pair of 15 of champagne, again picking up one 11 of champagne and into these 11 of 15 of champagne like this, into the 11 of fuchsia and into the pair of 11 of champagne. So I'm going to add these 11 O's. You can see I have added these 11 O's here. I'm going to add it throughout this pearl and throughout this pearl, and I'll complete it till this pair of 11 O at the end of this third pearl and come back. So here I'm adding 11 O champagne to this last pair of 11 O's around this pearl and into this pair of 11 O like this. Now moving down through this 11 O fuchsia, into 15 of champagne, and into the next 11 of fuchsia that we have added around the Rivoli, like this, into this pair of 15 of champagne, the first pair of 15 of champagne added around the Rivoli. Now picking up 1, 11 of champagne, and into this pair of 15 of champagne, like this, into this 11 of fuchsia, and into the next pair of 15 of champagne, picking up 1, 11 of champagne, and into this pair of 15 of champagne, like this. So here I'm going to add these 11 of champagne to the pair of 15 of champagne that I have added around this Rivoli till I reach this last pair of 15 of champagne over here. And now here I'm adding my 11 of champagne to this last pair of 15 of champagne, like this. So you can see the look after completing this round of adding 11 O's. This is the back side and this is the front side of our coronet pendant. And now here, as I'm exiting through this 15 O champagne, I'm going to step up into the 11 O champagne that I have just added to this pair, like this. And now here I'm going to add my beads around this Rivoli crystal. So as I'm exiting through this 11 O champagne, I'm picking up 1 2 by 3 mm round tail, and into this next 11 O champagne, again picking up 2 by 3 mm round tail, into this next 11 O champagne, picking up 2 by 3 mm round tail, and into the next 11 O champagne. So here I'm going to add these 2 by 3 mm rondelle till I reach this last 11 round the Rivoli crystal. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3 and 4 rondelles and come back. And here is the last rondelle, like this. Just don't pull your thread too much while adding the rondelles. Very gently we have to add these. And now as I'm exiting through this 11 O champagne, and we are at the joint of this Rivoli crystal and the pearl bezel. So here I'm going to add, and here I'm picking up 111 O champagne and I'm going to pass through this picot stitch, the first picot stitch, the first 11 O round this pearl bezel, like this. And now picking up 1 4 mm bicone and into the next 11 O, like this. Again picking up 1 4 mm bicone and into the next 11 O added round this pearl bezel, picking up 1 4 mm bicone and into the 11 O champagne. So here round the pearl bezel we are going to add all bicones, like this, picking up 1 4 mm bicone, again adding up 1 4 mm bicone, and this 4 mm bicone. This is the last bicone to be added round this pearl bezel. So here again I have reached the joint, but this is the joint between the two pearl bezel. So this is the joint, and here I am going to add 115 of champagne and into this next 11 of champagne. And now I have reached the next pearl bezel, the second one, and here again I'm going to add all bicones. So I'm picking a 1/4 mm bicone and into this next 11. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 bicones in around this pearl and come back. So this is the fourth bicone around this pearl bezel, and now again I have reached the joint of these two pearl bezel, and here I'm picking up 1/15 champagne and into the 11 round the next pearl bezel like this. And now I'm going to add all bicones here. So I'm picking up 1/4 mm bicone into the next 11 champagne, picking up 1/4 mm bicone and into the next 11 champagne, and here I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 bicones and come back. And here I have added all my bicones, and this is the joint between the pearl bezel and the Rivoli bezel. So here, as we did here, I'm going to add 1/11 champagne and into this next 11 champagne like this. Now, as you can see right now, I'm exiting through this 11 champagne after adding this 11, and you can see the look after completing this round. Now we are going to add 15 O's in front of these rondelles and icons that we have added. So as I'm exiting through this 11 champagne, I have picked up 2 champagne and 1 cream. And now I'm going to pass through this 15 champagne around this Rivoli. You can see this, see the alignment of this 15. You can see the rondelle, the 11 and these 11 and just in this 15 which is aligned with this rondelle. So you can see this 15 through which I am passing. So this is the 15 through which I am passing right now. Like this. And now skipping this 15 cream, I'm moving up in through this 15 cream like this, and I'm picking up 2 champagne and into the next 11 champagne just next to the rondelle like this. We have added the embellishment in front of the rondelle, and now picking up 2 champagne and 1 cream into this next 15 champagne like this. Now up through this first 15 champagne or the cream 15 champagne that I have added here like this. And now I'm picking up 2 champagne and into the next 11 champagne like this. Now picking up 2 champagne, 1 cream and into this next 15 champagne up through the 15 cream, picking up 2 champagne and into the 11 champagne like this, picking up 2 champagne, 1 cream into this 15 champagne up through the 15 cream Again picking up 250 champagne and into the next 11 champagne like this. I'm going to add these embellishment in front of these rondelle till I reach this last 11 champagne over here. And here I'm adding this last set around this rondelle. So I picked up 3 beads, 250 champagne and 150 cream, and into this 50 champagne like this, up through the 50 cream, and now picking up 250 champagne, I'm going to pass through this 11 champagne next to the rondelle like this. Just adjust these beads over here like this to get the like this. Now into this 11 champagne, the middle one like this, and here as I'm exiting through this 11 champagne, I'm going to pick up, I have picked up 150 champagne, 14 bicone and 150 champagne, and now you can see the joint of this Rivoli bezel and the pearl bezel over here. You can see this joint, and this is the 15 champagne over this joint. So I'm going to pass through the 15 champagne which is just before this. So I'm going to pass through this 15 champagne just before this joint here like this. And now after adding these 15 and bicone, as I'm exiting through this 15 champagne, I'm going to pick up 1 3 pearl. And now here on the Rivoli crystal bezel, this is the joint, this is the 15 over the joint, and now I'm going to pass through this 15 just next to this one. So here this is the 15 like this, and now again I'm picking up 115 champagne, 14 bicone and 115 champagne, the set of these 3 beads, and into this 11 champagne, the middle one. We have 3 11 so I'm passing through the middle one like this. So you can see we have added the bicones and the pearl over here, and I'm exiting through this 11 champagne, the middle one, and into the next 11 champagne like this. And now I have picked up these 3 beads, 115 champagne, 13 pearl and 115 champagne, and I'm going to pass through this next 15 champagne. To this I have added a picot just next to this 15 champagne like this. Now picking up 115 champagne into the 3 pearl. Here I have skipped this 15, added with the pearl like this. Picking up 115 champagne and into the 11 champagne next to the picot like this. Now again picking up 115 champagne, 13 pearl and 115 champagne, the set of these 3 beads, into this next 15 champagne, picking up 115 champagne, skipping this 15 into the 3 pearl like this, picking up 115 champagne and into the next 11 champagne, just next to the 4 mm bicone, like this. We have to add these pearls and 15s in front of the bicone. So again, I'm picking up 1 15 champagne, 1 3 mm pearl, and 1 15 champagne into this next 15 champagne, picking up 1 15 champagne, skipping this 15 champagne up through the 3 mm pearl, picking up 1 15 champagne, and into the next 11 champagne just next to the bicone. So you can see we have added these 3 mm pearls and 15s, and I'll be adding around these bicones till I reach this last one. So I'm going to add 1 2 3 and 4 sets over here and come back. Now here I'm adding my last set of 15 3 mm pearl and 15, and as I'm exiting through this 11 champagne, I'm passing through this 15 champagne, again picking up 1 15 champagne up through the 3 mm pearl, picking up 1 15 champagne, and into this 11 next to the bicone, and into the next 15 champagne. Here we added 15 champagne in between these two 11s. So I'm passing through this 11 champagne and into the next 15 champagne, like this. So you can see I have added the embellishment on the top of this Rivoli crystal bezel. Here I have added these tiny 15s, and here I have added 3 mm pearls, and again to this next pearl bezel I'm going to add the 3 mm pearls. But before this we have to add the embellishment over here. So here as I'm exiting through this 15 champagne, I'm going to pick up these three beads, 1 15 champagne, 1 4 mm bicone, and 1 15 champagne. So here I am exiting through this 15, and now I'm going to pass through this 15. Again we have to see the joint over here. We joined the two pearl bezel here with these two 11s, the right angle weave stitch, if you can see. And here this is the 15 above this joint. So I'm going to pass through this 15 just before this 15 champagne. So I'm going to pass this 15 just before the joint, like this. Now I'm picking up 1 3 mm pearl, and so this is the joint, this is the 15 over this joint, and now I'm going to pass through this next 15 over here, like this. Again picking up 1 15 champagne, 1 4 mm bicone, and 1 15 champagne, the set of these three beads, and back into this 15 champagne, like this. So this way we have added this embellishment. Now into this next 11 champagne, so here after adding these bicones over here, I have passed through this 15 champagne and this 11 champagne. So here I'm exiting through this 11 champagne right now, and now I'm going to add the embellishment of these pearls and 15. So I'm picking up 1 15 champagne, 1 3 mm pearl, and 1 15 champagne, and I'm going to pass through. You can see this is the 15 that we added the bicone to, And now I'm going to pass through this next 15 champagne, just next to this one. So this is the 15, like this. Again picking a 115 champagne, skipping the 15 champagne up through the 3 pearl, just keep it nice and tight here, and picking the 115 champagne into the 11 champagne next to the bicone, like this. Again picking up 115 champagne, 13 pearl, and 115 champagne. The set of these 3 beads into this next 15 champagne, picking up 115 champagne, skipping this 15 champagne up through the 3 pearl, like this, picking up 115 champagne and into the 11 champagne next to the bicone, like this. So here I have added 2 sets of these beads. I'm going to add 3 more, 1, 2 and 3, and come back. So here is the 5th pearl embellishment round this center pearl at the bottom. So I have added 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 pearl embellishment to this pearl bezel at the bottom, and here I'm adding this 15 as I'm exiting through this 3 pearl, the last 15 that is to be added, and into this 11 champagne next to the bicone and into the 15 champagne. You can see this, like this. And here as I'm exiting through this 15 champagne, I'm going to add I have reached the joint over here, so I'm going to add my embellishment of bicones. So I'm picking up 115 champagne, 14 bicone and 115 champagne. So I have picked up these 3 beads and I'm going to pass through this 15 champagne. Here again you can see the joint over here, and as you can see the joint, this is the 15 over the joint. So I'm going to pass through this 15 just before this one. So this is the one that I'm passing through. Now I'm picking up 1 3 pearl and into this 15 champagne, this one over here. Again picking up 115 champagne, 14 bicone and 115 champagne. The set of these 3 beads into the 15 champagne over here, like this. So you can see this. After exiting through this 15 champagne into the next 11 champagne, and now I'm going to add my pearl embellishment over here. So I'm picking up 115 champagne, 1 3 pearl and 115 champagne, the set of these 3 beads. So here I added this bicone to this 15, so I'm going to pass through this next one, next 15 over here. It is very close to bicone, so you have to be very careful while adding this first set of pearl embellishment. Again picking up 115 champagne, back into the 3 pearl Picking up 115 champagne and into the 11 champagne next to the 4 bicone. Like this. Picking up 115 champagne, 13 pearl and 115 champagne into the next 15 champagne. Again picking up 115 champagne, skipping this 15 up through the 3 pearl, picking up 115 champagne into the 11 next to the 4 bicone. Like this. So round this pearl I'm going to add in all 7 pearl embellishment. I have added 2. I'll be adding 5 more and come back. So here is my last, that is the 7th pearl embellishment. Picking up 115 up through the 3 pearl, picking up 115 champagne into the 11 champagne next to the bicone and into this next 11 champagne. So I'm passing through the 2 11 champagne over here, and here you can see I have added all my pearl embellishment, and right now I'm exiting through this 11 champagne. So I'm going to add the bicones. So I'm picking up 115 champagne, 14 bicone and 115 champagne, and I'm going to pass through this 15 next to this one. But you can see the joint over here just before this 15. Again picking up 13 pearl up through this 15 champagne, picking up 115 champagne, 14 bicone and 115 champagne. These 3 beads and into the 11 champagne like this. So here you can see the look after completing this round. And now I'm stepping up into the 15 champagne, the 4 bicone and the 15 champagne like this, and into this 15 champagne, now picking up to 15 champagne into this next 15 champagne added round the Rivoli, again picking up to 15 champagne into this next 15 champagne. You have to be very careful while adding these pairs of 15s. Picking up to 15 champagne into the next 15 champagne, picking up to 15 champagne into this next 15 champagne, and I'm going to add these 15s till I reach this 15 over here to which I have added the pearls. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs of 15s and come back. So here is the last pair of 15s round this Rivoli like this. So you can see I have added 15s round this Rivoli over here, and now as I'm exiting through this 15, I'm going through this pearl, the 3 pearl, into this next 15 champagne. Now again I'm going to add 15 around this pearl. So I'm picking up two 15 champagne and into this next 15 around this pearl, picking up two 15 champagne into this next 15 champagne, picking up two 15 into the next 15 picking up two 15 and into this 15 to which I have added the pearl and into the 3 pearl into this 15 the bottom one here, and I'm going to add 15 around this pearl as I have done here. So again I'm picking up 15 to 15 into this next 15 champagne. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 pairs around this pearl and come back. This is the last pair of 15 around this pearl and into this 15 champagne, like this, into the 3 pearl, into this 15 champagne. Now again I'm going to add 15 around this pearl. So I'm picking up two 15 champagne and into the next 15. I'm going to add 1, 2, 3 pairs around this pearl. And here is the last pair of 15. You can see the look after adding the 15 at the center. And now stepping up into the 3 pearl and I'm passing through the first pair of 15 that I just added in this round. Here I'm not adding any bead right now. Down through this 15 into the second pair of 15 that I added, down through this 15 at the bottom, and now into the third pair of 15. So right now I'm exiting through this third pair of 15 and now you can see I just passed through the first pair, the second pair, and right now I'm exiting through this third pair. And now I'm going to pick up one 4 bicone and I'm going to pass through, counting from here just next to the pearl. This is the first pair I added and this is the second pair. So I'm passing through the second pair that I added to this pearl bezel, like this, back into the 4 bicone, back into this pair of 15 like this. So here you can see I have added the bicone over here, and now into this 15 champagne and into this pair of 15s, the first pair, down through the 15 champagne, into this second pair, so here I'm going to skip these two pairs, and now into this 15 champagne and into the next pair of 15s. So I'm passing through this next pair of 15s, this one, and if we count from this pearl over here, this is the first, second and third pair. We added this bicone to the third pair. From here, this pearl around the Rivoli, and here again 1, 2 and third pair. Here at the bottom we have skipped 1, 2 pairs of 15s. So now I'm picking up one 4 bicone, and now here I added this bicone to this pair. I'm going to skip 1 pair, 2 pair and into this third pair, like this. Up through the bicone, into the 15s, like this. Now into this 15 at the bottom, up through these two 15s, down through this 15 at the bottom, up through these two 15s, and now into this 15 and the set of these 15s and bicones, like this. And here I'm exiting through this 15 champagne into the 11 champagne, into this next 11 champagne just before the bicone, and now into the 4 bicone, picking up one 11 champagne into the 4 bicone, again picking up one 11 champagne into the 4 bicone, picking up one 11 champagne and into the 4 bicone, and here I'm going to add these 11s till I reach this bicone over here. Now here I'm adding this 11 into this last bicone, and here we have reached the joint of this pearl bezel, the two pearl bezels, and here again I'm picking up one 11 champagne and into the next 4 bicone, again picking up one 11 champagne and into the 4 bicone. So here I'm going to add these 11s till I reach this bicone over here, round this next, the third pearl bezel. and in between, in here on the joint again, I'm going to add 11 rows. So I'm going to add 11 rows here again and till I reach this last bicone over here. So here I have reached the joint of the two pearl bezels, and again I'm picking up one 11 row champagne, and into the next bicone I'm going to add all 11 rows till I reach this bicone over here. And here I'm adding my last 11 row into the 4 bicone, and now I have reached this joint of the pearl bezel and the Rivoli bezel, and here I'm going to add these 3 beads, 115 0, 11 0 and 115 0 champagne, and into the rondelle like this. And now again I'm picking up one 11 0 champagne and into the rondelle, picking up one 11 0 champagne into the rondelle, and I'm going to add these 11 O's in between these rondelles till I reach this last rondelle over here. So here I'm adding my last 11 O into the rondelle, and now I have reached the joint, so I'm picking up 115 O champagne, 111 O champagne and 115 O champagne. The set of these 3 beads into the 4 bicone like this, stepping up into the first 11 O champagne that I added in this round, and you can see the look after completing this round. And now as I'm exiting through this 11 O champagne, I'm going to pick up 5 15 O's into the next 11 O champagne, again picking up 5 15 O champagne into the next 11 O, picking up 5 15 O champagne into the next 11 O, picking up 5 15 O champagne into the next 11 O, again picking up 5 15 O champagne into the next 11 O. And now here you can see I have reached the joint. You can see this 11 O's, and again I have picked up 5 15 O champagne, so I'm passing through this 11 O champagne and stepping up into the 2 15 O's that I have added here. I added 5, I have stepped up into 2. Now for the next set, I have already stepped up into 2, so I'm going to pick up only 3. So here I have picked up only 3 15 O's and into this next 11 O. Now again I'm picking up 5 15 O's into this next 11 O. Again picking up 5 15 O's these 5 15 O's to the next 11 O, picking up 5 15 O's into the next 11 O, again picking up 5 15 O's and into this 11 O, again on the joint over here, stepping up into the 2 15 O's, 2 out of the 5 I have added here, and now again I'm going to pick up only 3 more as I have passed through 2, so 3 I'm picking up and into the next 11 O, and now I'm going to add all 5. So here I have picked up 5 15 O's into the next 11 O. So I'm going to add these 15 O's till I reach this 11 O over here. And here I have reached this 11 O, and now again I have picked up 5 15 O's into these 3 beads that I have added here, like this. And now I'm picking up 3 15 O champagne and into this next 11 O. So round the rondelles we are going to add 3 15 O's. Again picking up 3 15 O champagne into the 11 O, picking up 3 15 O champagne into the next 11 O, picking up 3 15 O champagne into the next 11 O. So I'm adding 3 15 O's round the rondelle, and I'll be doing this till I reach this last set over here. So here adding the last set of 3 15 O's round the rondelle into the 15 O, 11 O and the next 15 O champagne. Now picking up 5 15 O champagne and into this next 11 O champagne. So you can see the look after completing this round. And here I have almost finished up with my thread, so I'm going to end it up. So as I'm exiting through this 11 O, moving down through this 4 bicone, now I'm just ending up this thread into the 11 O over here next to the icon. Just showing you how you can end up the thread and add a new one into this 11 O, into these two 11 O's. And now after exiting through these two 11 O champagne, I'm going to tie a knot between the 11 O and the 11 O champagne and the 11 O fuchsia, like this. One more knot. Again I'm passing through a couple of beads including this 11 O fuchsia, the 11 O champagne, into this next 11 O fuchsia, and now I'm cutting this thread off and I'm going to add the new one. So here I have taken a new thread and now I'm going to attach it to my pendant. So for this, here I'm passing through these 11 O champagne on the pearl bezel, and I'm going to tie a knot between this 11 O fuchsia and the 11 O champagne. One more knot. Into the next, into this 11 O fuchsia, into the Next pair of 11 of champagne, 11 of fuchsia, and 11 of champagne. Just a couple of beads. And now, as I am exiting through this 11 of champagne, I'm going to move up through this 11 of champagne that we added on the top of these two 11 O's. So here you can see like this, up through the bicone and into this 11 O on the top and these 15 O's. So here I'm exiting through this 15 O at the bottom here, and now let us first cut the tail off, and now passing through the 15 O's and 11 O's on the edge of our pendant. Now here you can see we have reached this joint over here, the joint between the two pearl bezel, and this was the joint here, and here we added 5, and out of those 5 we passed through the 2 and then we again added 3. So this was the joint here, and now here after passing through these 3 15 I'm picking up 1 15 champagne. So this is the joint here into this next set of 15s like this. And now here I have reached these 3 icons at the bottom. You can see these 3 icons, and now stepping up into these 3 15os. Here I'm exiting through this 11o, and now I'm stepping up into 3 15o champagne, and now I'm going to pick up 1 11o champagne, 1 3 pearl, and 1 11o champagne. So this is the bottom of our pendant. I have picked up these 3 beads into this 15o, the middle 15o of the next set. Now again I'm picking up 1 11o champagne, 1 3 pearl, and 1 11o champagne, these 3 beads, and into the middle 15o of this next set like this, and now into these 15os, 11os, and here again after passing through these 3 15o champagne I have reached the joint. So this was the joint of the 2 pearl bezel, and here again I'm going to add 1 15o champagne. So I have picked up 1 15o champagne and into these 11os, 15os and 11os like this. Now I'm going to pass through all these 15os and 11os, just passing through all these 15os and 11os just to give a nice shape. And now here when I reach the top of our pendant, Now here I have reached the top of our pendant, and this is the joint of our pearl bezel and the Rivoli bezel, and to these beads I'm going to add the bail for my chain. So here I'm passing through this 15O champagne and into the 11O champagne, and as I'm exiting through this 11O champagne, I'm going to pick up two 11O champagne into the 11O champagne, the middle one, like this, up through the 11O champagne. I'm picking up one more pair of 11O champagne, moving down through this 11O champagne. We are doing the herringbone stitch here to make our veil, up through the two adjacent 11O champagne, like this. Now I'm going to pick up two 3mm pearls down through this 11O champagne, up through the 11O champagne, the adjacent 11O, and the 3mm pearl, like this. And now I'm picking up three 11O champagne down through the pearls and the 11Os, all two 11Os, down through this 11O champagne at the bottom, up through these two 11Os, the pearl and the 11O champagne, skipping this 11O at the top, down through these 11Os, pearl and both the 11O champagne, like this. So here we have added the bead on one side of our pendant into the 11O champagne at the bottom and into the 15O champagne. Now up through these 15Os and 11Os, these 15Os and 11Os, through these 15Os and 11Os, into the 15Os and into this 11O champagne. Here again I'm going to add the bail as I have done here. So for this again I'm picking up two 11O champagne into the 11O champagne at the bottom, up through the 11O champagne, picking up two 11O champagne, down through this 11O champagne, up through the two 11Os, like this. Now picking up two 3 mm pearls and into this 11 champagne, up through this 11 and through the 3 mm pearl. Now picking up 3 11 champagne down through the 3 mm pearl, 11 O's, both the 11 champagne, down through this 11 champagne at the bottom, up through the 11 O's, the pearl, and the next 11 champagne, down, skipping this 11 at the top, down through these 11 like this. So we have added the veil on both the sides of the pendant, and we can add any pearl chain or any other chain to this, to both these sides. Down through this 11 champagne and into the 15 like this, into these 15 11 into all these 15 and 11 down through these 15 Now here you have two choices. If you want to add the drop at the bottom, like I have done in this pendant, if you want to add the drop, then we will be adding it as I'm going to show you in the video. But if you don't want to add the drop, you can also leave the pendant as it is. There's no need to add the pearls, these 3 mm pearls at the bottom. Just leave it like this, pass through all these 15 O's, add the bail and finish it up. But here we are going to add the drop as I have done here in this pendant. So for this, we are passing through all these 15 O's and 11 O's. Now through all these 15 O's and into this set of 3 15 O's, and now into the 11 champagne that we added with the 3 mm pearl. Now after exiting through the 11 champagne, I have picked up these 3 15 champagne, 4 mm bicone, 1 11 champagne, the bead cap, the drop bead, and 1 11 champagne, And now I'm bringing these down towards the end like this, and I'm going to skip this 11 champagne at the bottom, moving up to the drop bead, the bead cap, and the 11 champagne like this. And after exiting through this 11 champagne, I'm picking up the 4 bicone and 3 champagne up through this 11 champagne like this. We have added the drop over here, and now into these 3 and the 11 champagne. Once again, I'm going to pass through these drop beads, so I'm just coming back through this 11 champagne into the 4 bicone from the back side here, into this 11 champagne, into the 4 bicone, into the 11 champagne, into the 4 bicone, the 11 champagne. So I'm passing through these 3 bicones only at the bottom, up through this 11 and through these 15 11 and these 15 the bicone like this. Once again, moving down through these beads, the 11 bead cap, the drop bead, 11. We are taking this pass just to reinforce the bead here. If you want, you can skip this step. Into these beads. Now moving up through these beads. So here we have added the drop, and into these 15 and 11 into this 11 like this. So here I'm exiting through this 11 champagne. Now we are going to end up with a thread, and here as I'm exiting through this 11 moving down through this 11 champagne into these 11, just a couple of beads over here, and here I'm tying a knot between these 11 champagne and 11 fuchsia. One more knot. And into a couple of 15 11s. This and into these 11s. And now I'm just cutting the thread off. So friends, here we have completed our coronet pendant in this gorgeous fuchsia color. And in my next video, I will show you how to attach a seed bead chain or 2 mm hydrospherical bead chain to this pendant. So stay tuned and please do subscribe to my channel, and please don't forget to press the bell icon so that you may get notified when I'll upload my next video. Thank you and Namaste.